It feels like what it should feel like. It feels like, hey, imagine you got into a martial arts fight, but you didn't know martial arts.
There is a form of multimedia entertainment beyond that which is good. These games are as vast in number as they are terrible. They dwell in the dark recesses of history, unearthed from the pits of the bargain bin. These are the games of horror. This is Garbage Game Night.
Welcome to Garbage Game Night, a podcast about notoriously bad games. Well, sometimes you've never heard of them, but tonight you have, maybe. I don't know you. But this is a top shelf game. It's in many lists of the biggest flops of weirdest games, etc. It's not some little rink-a-dink little Steam app. This is a video game. We've got to check this game out, and with me tonight are new frog owner Tom. How you doing over there?
Ribbit. I'm doing good. I'm doing good, man. My wife's in the background, just staring into a dark tank with a flashlight, I guess.
Freaking those frogs out.
Right. In terms of, Frank brought up the whole idea of like what they envision to be like the day-night cycle, and they're just in some sort of hellscape right now, where it's just like all kinds of crazy lights and the sun's whipping around the planet, and they're going for it, man. They're just on the ride for their life. I'm getting a dirty look, so I'm gonna stop. To Frank.
Yes, and Frank's with us. How you doing, Frank?
I'm doing all right.
All right.
That was so subdued.
Yeah,
it made me feel like I was on drugs.
Compared to Tom's.
Are you on drugs, Tom?
Yeah, but that's not the point. I'm saying it's revealing the fact.
Yeah.
Frank's just existing. He's here.
Just vibing. Just like the frogs are trying to vibe.
All right. Well, last time we played a game, it was a while ago. You know, we took a little hiatus there. It was, I think the last one we did was Garbage Gift Night, right? And we played a handful of games, a bunch. Frank actually asked for a little bit of a break so he could focus on his new gift, rescuing the mussels from the ceiling of a gymnasium. Did you actually get back and play some more of that, Frank?
No, because I 100%ed it that night. I stayed up late that night.
Wasn't a whole lot to do then, yeah.
And I sent you the final ending, the secret ending.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you finished it while we were finishing up the very end of the podcast, and we still got to look and talk about it. Yeah, well, we'll try and be a little more regular. At least I think I'm gonna try and stick to the bi-weekly thing until we hit 100 at least. So, yeah.
And then you pull the plug.
Wait until we haven't hit 100. I thought we did.
Oh, we're at 70. This is 76 right now.
Oh, I'm crazy. Wait, maybe the last milestone I remember was 50.
Yeah, 52. We had the 50-second episode extravaganza. Yeah, we'll have to do that again.
No,
that episode 104.
52. No, this 52nd was the cards.
Oh yeah, because 52 card pickup. You're right.
I really need to.
50.
I've already filed that episode away. It wasn't 50 flat, I don't think.
It was.
Does Frank know the
It was,
podcast
Christopher.
better than me?
It was.
Does he?
I need to get my shit together and do an episode.
Yeah, at some point, Tom has said that he's going to do one.
No one's telling you to do it, Tom. We're just all expecting it.
Yeah, we'll just be continually disappointed the longer it goes on that you haven't. But it's up to you.
I'm just so used to that.
It's totally up to you. 55 was another Garbage Gift Night. No, 50 was Deadly Premonition. The Trashies was episode 53. Yeah, I knew it was an odd number. Yeah, it was after Texas Hold'em.
Wow.
Telltale Texas Hold'em. Alrighty, let's keep moving. Some GGN news real quick. Do I have my button? It's been so long.
Oh, there it is.
All right. So yeah, any interesting things going on in the gaming world? Gosh, it's been so long since we've done one of these. You guys playing anything interesting? Anything interesting going on there? Excited? I guess some people are excited for Hogwarts coming out tomorrow. Hogwarts Legacy.
Grace tomorrow. If you do the pre-release like Grace forced us to, then yeah, the Grace starting tomorrow. She's just gonna be a little Hogwarts student from now on.
There's a whole bunch of games that are having their plugs pulled that Frank and I have talked about a bit. I think we may try and get one of those in. Big shakeups in the gaming world. They've canceled mobile Apex Legends as well as mobile Battlefield that was coming out. Yeah.
I thought Apex was huge.
The mobile version of it, not the main game. Yeah, no, the main game's still very popular. Seems like they're ceasing development on Battlefield 2042, which we played. Even though it's starting to get some infusion of players, it seems like it's actually in a place that it's more stable and people are enjoying it a little bit more. Since I was a I was actually partnered with a game development company for once, Jaeger, who makes the Cycle Frontier. They have announced that they are stopping doing, I'm going to call them cycles, but they're removing the wipes out of the game, and I don't like that. But I think they need to shake the game up a little bit because they're having a hard time holding on to their player base. So, not the biggest game in the world. It's like 200 people watching it on Twitch right now. But yeah, it's a game that I've enjoyed, so give it a little shout out. Well, let's get into this game that we have here. Let me set the scene for you. Travel back with me to the year 1994.
Whoa.
Netscape Navigator is the leading internet browser. Nancy Kerrigan had just had her legs broken prior to the U.S. Skating Championships. O.J. Simpson, she didn't actually have her legs broken, but she was injured. You know, we saw the movie.
It
probably.
was her kneecap, right?
It was her kneecap that was injured, I think.
Yeah. That's still not fun.
It's not great.
No, that was super mean.
O.J. Simpson led the police on a chase in his Ford Bronco because he was innocent. Whitney
That was also
Houston
mean.
would win a Grammy for I Will Always Love You. The Lion King would be the top-grossing movie, beating Forrest Gump, True Lies, and The Mask. Also, Dumb and Dumber was number 7 on that list, and Jim Carrey with number 4 and number 7. Also, a top-grossing film in '94 was Pet Detective, also same year. That's a crazy year for Jim Carrey. But this isn't about Jim Carrey. Unless we're doing a Sonic game? But we're not doing a Sonic game. Sonic Universe hadn't really gotten out of control in 1994 yet. No. What was huge in 1994 was the NBA. Jordan and the Chicago Bulls had just finished their first three-peat, and in October of 93 he had announced his retirement. But we're not talking about Jordan either. We're talking about the greatest big man of all time in the NBA, coming off his rookie year season and appearing
Shaq?
in the first playoffs in 94, clocking in at 7'1" and 325 pounds. I just want to wait on that. 325 pounds is the weight of a standard upright piano. That's nuts. We're talking about Shaquille O'Neal. And with Jordan, you were right. And with Jordan out of the NBA, the attention had shifted on to Shaq, and Electronic Arts, the dominant publisher of sports video games at the time, knew it was time to get their new star into a video game, which is naturally about... Any guesses? You guys
Not
know.
basketball.
Kung Fu.
Fighting.
That's right. Tonight we're talking about Shaq Fu, which I'm going to play the trailer for. I got the title of on the box art of on stream right now. So I will just hit play on this.
Shaquille O'Neal, a.k.a.
This is an ad for the Genesis Shaq Fu.
Enforcer of justice.
I should have warned you guys how nuts video games ads were in the 90s.
Size 22. Register lethal weapons.
What?
This is your target.
Introducing Shaq Fu, Kung Fu Shaq style. For Sega Genesis and Super NES.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, that's wild.
Yeah, that's what video game ads were like. And looking at that, I can't blame people for thinking that video games caused violence, you know?
Also, just like, what? Why?
What was
why
that?
does he have to? Why does he have to fight? Why wouldn't it be basketball themed at all?
We'll get into the history of Shaq Fu. But have you guys heard of Shaq Fu before?
Yes.
No, I haven't.
You've never heard of Shaq Fu? Wow, okay. Yeah, I knew Frank would. Yeah, no, Shaq Fu is a bit notorious. Any guesses what Shaq Fu is?
What do you mean? Like, is it martial art, you mean?
What does it mean? What does Shaq Fu mean to you?
You mean like...
It means the world.
Are you asking like what Shaq Fu's philosophy is? I don't know. It's about making the right shot.
Nice. I like that. All right.
No, I know it's on a lot of lists of bad games. I believe this was remastered, right? And we're going to be playing a remastered version.
There is a remaster that we'll talk about a little. We are not playing the remaster. We are going to play the original. If you could, and we're going to play the Genesis version. It's downtown Tokyo, and I'm checking out the local sites on the day of my All-Star charity game when...
Is it going to auto-advance or... Oh, never mind.
I stumbled upon a small kung fu dojo with an old man inside. A product placement for Pepsi.
Gotta make that money.
Greeting, big warrior. You are the one from the stars, I presume. I thought I'd never live to see the day. It's like a tasteful accent, right? And I'm all right. I'm an all-star, if that's what you mean. We have a game tonight. Is that too much? That's what Shaq sounds like. Would you like to come?
Yeah,
it's going to be quite a battle, even though it's only for charity. Oh no, young warrior, I'm too old to be fighting, but I wish you well. You must hurry now if you're able to save the little boy, Nezu. That is, if you really are the magic one. I'm not sure what you mean. I'm just sightseeing before my game. What are you talking about? Of course, he's walking around in his charity uniform. No time to explain. Go through this portal, find Nezu, and save him before it's too late. So he's asking Shaq to go into the storage closet. All right, and he has been transported to a foreign land that reminds me of like Chrono Trigger.
Oh, this is awesome.
Yeah, it's a world map where you can run around as Shaq, and there's different things you can interact with. Like there's the Lost Jungle area, the Vagabond Temple, there's the Wasteland, and these are different arenas that you can go fight at. Frank is going to pick one of these places, one of the fights to do. He's picked the mines. You call yourself Diesel, ha ha ha. We'll see who has the last laugh, says Diesel. Diesel is looks like a break dancer. Okay.
What are
We
the
are on
buttons to
fight
attack?
screen.
Because I only found 2 different ways to kick. Is that it? That's it. So you just kicks and kicks?
Yeah, so we're watching Shaq do some big kicks. I mean, he's a big man. He's using those long legs to make sure he's got some distance. Lots of twirling kicks. Frank won his first round there. This is very expected.
Well, this is actually
kind
my
of
second time.
second time going in. Yeah, it's, Street Fighter style. The Mortal Kombat really more. It like the fighting stage kind of pans to the left and right a little bit, and you jump through the air twirling to close the distance and such. All right, well, Frank dukes it out. I'll come check on both of you guys about how the fighting's going in a bit, but summarize the plot as it is. We're given a few slides of exposition. It starts off with Shaq in his basketball attire on the street saying it's downtown Tokyo, and I'm checking out the local sites on the day of my all-star charity game when, quick note for the observant, he's in Tokyo, known for being the capital of Japan, and the area that he actually looks like he's in is a little China area, like it's traditional Chinese buildings, and he's following signs towards Kung Fu, and Kung Fu is known for being a martial arts style in China as well. That's traditional Chinese characters on the sign. So anyway, it's fine that it's Tokyo and it's China at the same time. But he stumbles into a Kung Fu dojo, as one does. The old man inside says, "Greetings, big warrior. You're the one from the stars." Classic misunderstanding. Shaq is like, "No, I'm an all-star. You want to come to my game?" Old man's like, "You need to save the little boy Nezu if you really are the magic one." Might be a reference to him playing for the Orlando Magic. I don't know. Maybe not. But old man's like, "No time to explain. Get in this portal," which appears to be a closet, and boom, you're transported to a world map, and you run around and pick which fights you want to do in which order. And you do have to do all of them to kind of continue on the game. So you're going to do all these fights anyway. It's just you get to choose which ones you do first. So how does a game like this even happen? To be honest, there isn't like a whole lot of record of it online. Matt McMuscles, who we've referenced before, he's a YouTuber. I think in the Rogue Warrior episode, I referenced some research that he did, but he did a series looking for some of the worst fighting games, and he did a video on Shaq Fu and was able to dig up some articles that I couldn't find. He has a magazine article interview with the producer Don Traeger, who is a co-founder of EA Sports Games, who said they were going to approach Shaq with a classic basketball pitch, but when reading up on him, he saw that he loved crime movies, and Shaq was doing some rap at the time. He started in 1993 and ended up releasing 5 albums. All of them were criticized, but in his debut album, he referred to himself as Shaq Fu, or as it says in this article, the article reads, "Shaq Fu is his rap name, his street, his urban name." And Don Traeger said, "It struck me that this could be interesting for a fighting game." So he decides to pitch it, and if worse comes to worse, then they would just fall back into a basketball game. But Shaq absolutely loved the idea. He was a big fan of games like Mortal Kombat. So they started working with a Paris-based developer, the developer Delphine. Not that Delphine Frank, Delphine Software, and it was known for the developer was known for some pretty impressive animation styles and rotoscoping work on like slower point and click adventure games. That was their background. So maybe not the best choice for a fighting game developer, but they took the job. And also the game was going to be called Shaq Attack, but Shaq was pushing for Shaq Fu, as this was Shaq Fu was going to be the title of his second album, called Shaq Fu Da Return. So yeah, he
Wow.
seemingly was very involved with the feedback for the game, and he was excited about it. Pretty far into the researching this episode and about Shaq Fu, I realized that I'm going to call them our friends over at the podcast Quit the Build. They started up their podcast nearly the same time as we did. They're very active on TikTok, entertaining guys. But they actually did a several hour long interview with Don Traeger, the co-founder of EA, producer of this game. They focus on normally gaming news over there, and they've done a series on what they call game industry expert interviews, including Don Traeger. In that interview, he talks about how EA Sports became like a juggernaut in the sports video game arena and the changes that industry had, how the team at EA grew, and some infighting in the company, and how the regular push of sports games was becoming a bit soul destroying, and he wanted to do something a bit different. So they did a few non-sports games, and then Don Traeger decided, like, he did miss the sports world, and he saw some Nike posters at that time with like Jordan and like superhero stylized graphics, and he thought, like, that'd be cool to get like sports, these sports stars and do like some superhero stuff. And
didn't Shaq do a movie where he was a superhero?
Or was he a genie? Is that what you're thinking of?
Maybe I had maybe it was a genie. I had something in my mind of just him having
Shazam,
powers.
Shazam, that's what it was. It was Kazam, right? Is that the thing? Yeah, it was Kazam. Okay. But everyone thinks the movie called Shazam exists. So Shaq was in his rookie year, right after his rookie season, and there's like so much buzz about him. Like there's videos going around of him like breaking backboards and such. So Don figures like, we got to sign him to do a video game. And with his pull, they did. And Don says like, you probably shouldn't. Well, he says like he realizes you should never sign someone before you know what you want to do, and they did that with Michael Jordan before, but they had like a specific idea. They wanted to do this game, Jordan versus Larry Bird, the game, and they did it, and it was successful. And so they signed Shaq on for a 3-year license. So like as soon as they do that, the clock is ticking to do something. And as he describes it, Shaq's basketball style didn't really lend itself to a game. Like he barely had to jump to dunk. So like, what's that video game going to be about? Like, what's the style of it? You just post up and body your way in. Like, what kind of game is it? So he meets up with Shaq, meeting up at Shaq's house, and it's an entertaining story. But he's waiting for Shaq to get home in his rec room, and he notices that he has arcade cabinets in his rec room, like all the cabinets. And Shaq arrives blasting hip hop music, and they start brainstorming about what they want to do. And Shaq's already like wanting to do a fighting game, and he mentions he's part of he's in a part-time rap group called the Fu Snickens, and because he went by Shaq Fu and Shaq was into martial arts, they decided like that's the way they got to go. It's going to be a martial arts game starring Shaq. It sounds like Shaq's really excited about it, and he mentions development was polarized all along the way. That like, to be fair, like the idea of like putting Shaq in a fighting game, it's going to make people like, like that sounds like a terrible idea, or that sounds crazy. I'm excited to do it. So it was polarizing. He wasn't sure why, but at a glance, people thought it was. What he expresses is that people seem to think it was like a money grab using a popular person to cash in. But anyway, he talks about meeting with Delphine Software, and they were actually really interested in doing a fighting game anyway. And he knew Shaq. They knew Shaq was an international star, kind of larger than life figure, and they were absolutely committed to making this project work. So yeah, that's how the game started off, how it got to be. How's it feel over there, Frank? So you just won another one against a...
Yeah, now I've lost twice, but now I'm whooping ass.
All right.
Are you just kicking, right?
Yeah.
Okay, because I am also only kicking. I have gotten to a point where it is only the old guy and the green guy in the cloak left.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I've defeated everyone except 2 guys on this side.
Yeah, 2 guys
Nice.
on this side too.
Yeah, I almost beat the old guy and fucking died.
So so the green guy, I haven't been able to beat him or the old guy either.
So you're finding
We're in the
that you're
same
mostly
spot.
doing kicks. Okay.
There is no punches. There's not a punch button.
Well, that lightning guy, like he has one move that like shoots lightning directly above his head, and you think that could never hit me, but somehow
Oh yeah, he times it when it does.
He times it so you're doing your stupid flipping somersault.
Oh my god, I might beat the old man. Oh no, he's actually starting to kick my ass now.
Did you get your controller working? Oh my god, you just like did a force field, Frank.
Wait, Frank used a force field?
Yeah.
No.
Oh, nice win, Frank.
I got beat.
I'm just down to button mashing.
So we're feeling like Shaq's moveset is limited.
Yes. I'm just
when he does it from above, it hits you no matter where you are.
Oh, does he?
Which is bullshit.
That is bullshit.
He can just spam that. That's so fucked up.
Oh, that's nice, Frank. Real good.
Dude, this guy is dirty. Frank, try to get low. Get low.
He's 7'1".
I know, that's the trick. That's the sneak attack. To win with Shaq, you gotta get small.
You accidentally flipped too far away.
This
Oh,
motherfucker,
nice
you're right,
job, Frank.
Did you do it?
Frank got the green guy.
It feels like what it should feel like. It feels like, hey, imagine you got into a martial arts fight, but you didn't know martial arts.
Now, this is supposed to be Shaq, as he was just wandering the streets of Tokyo, and he got suckered into, saving this little kid. And
That's my point.
this is the moves that I assume that Shaq himself has, unless we're to believe that he was like imbued with some fighting powers when he went through the portal. But I assume that Shaq can do all this. To be fair, it's not. He's doing some things like somersaults in the air, but mostly he's just kicking.
I don't even think Shaq would be a good kicker. He's a big guy.
His leg is solid muscle.
Yeah.
I'm sure, but like he's
How fast can
he's
he
a
be?
hefty. I can't even say that it looks like Shaq.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, it's hard to be convinced that that's Shaq. It doesn't. I don't know. Maybe I'm used to what Shaq looks
Let's
like
be honest,
nowadays.
if it was really Shaq, he'd be even taller than those guys.
That is something that stood out to me. That you are Shaq fighting. This we've seen so far him fighting a random assortment of like 6 people, like this old man, this Green Goblin thing. But they're all kind of on par with him. So like,
I mean they are shorter.
Yeah, they're a
but they're
little
not
bit,
as
though.
short as they would be.
Yeah. No, anyone should look just so small next to Shaq. Not the case. This guy is. Oh, he's like a head shorter than you.
He
But
can
again, not
palm
the case.
their head in his hand.
Yeah, it is not leaning into how absurdly large Shaq is. There is a fury meter in this game. I don't know if you guys have seen that. It's kind of like a comeback
It usually
meter.
happens when people are dead, though.
Yeah, by the time it gets full, yes.
They're too angry to die.
It's a comeback meter. It's supposed to give you some more power to unleash. I never, when I was playing it, I never actually had to trigger it. It's a good idea to have a system like that, though. So, there's some points for that. You've got some throws. You can hit someone on the ground. There's a handful of moves that each character has that are very hard to input. Shaq can actually throw a wind frisbee, for example, and he's got
Yeah, they showed
fire
that,
fists.
but I can't do it.
Yeah, it's tricky. I mean, go ahead and try to do like your typical, Street Fighter combinations if you want, but it's tricky. So Matt McMuscles had Justin Wong, the gamer who has the most Evo wins, 7 for Marvel vs. Capcom 2 and 1 for Street Fighter 3 and 1 for Marvel vs. Capcom 3. He had Justin Wong analyze this game, like this professional fighting game player analyzed this game, and surprisingly he was a bit baffled by parts. Certain characters have unblockable screen-wide attacks, which we saw. The AI will instant counter some of your inputs. The collision boxes sometimes just don't hit sometimes. He also couldn't get the Fury function to actually work, and in the end he gave up and apologized to anyone who bought it. So that was a professional. I love the faces on the top. The faces like next to your health bars react
When they're sad.
Yeah.
And Shaq's I'm dying
is so
face
sullen.
looks nothing like the man.
You need to get people in a corner and just kick
That's what
'em.
Frank is doing, just brutalizing this old man. This old
Well, I was. Now
Kung
he's
Fu
doing
master.
it to me.
Oh my god. I beat the green piece of shit.
Nice. So real quick, some similar games. Obviously, this game is trying to mimic the home arcade fighting games that were very popular at this time. Street Fighter 2 had just come to home consoles in 1993, and as of 2008, is still Capcom's best-selling game. Just a hugely popular game. Mortal Kombat had come out in 1993, and Mortal Kombat 2 was coming out on Genesis and Super Nintendo just a couple months after Shaq Fu. So it's between Mortal Kombat 1 and 2. Matt McMuscles, or Mr. McMuscles as I call him, he pointed towards its bad timing as being problematic, but also I think people would keep playing Mortal Kombat 1 or Street Fighter 2 instead of this. This isn't like going to steal either of those bases away, There are some differences in the versions of this game and some really weird ones. We're playing the Genesis because I think that it's the best version. It has more backgrounds and 5 more playable characters. So it has 12 characters versus 7 that were on the Super Nintendo, which is a huge difference. Fighting games, they get a big part of their replayability from their roster size, right? And it's almost double on the Genesis. But the SNES version actually may look better. Like a lot of the animation is slightly smoother. It's got brighter colors, and it has audio, which you guys might not have noticed. Like this game doesn't have like fighting audio of like being hit and stuff. It's just like some crunching noises going on. So for some reason, SNES has some more fighting audio. One more important difference: while the game was seemingly built for Genesis, like it seemed like they put that first, or at least most of the game, like the most amount of game got onto the Genesis. The standard Genesis controller only had 3 button inputs, unless you had one of those fancy 6-button controllers. The SNES controller made better use of the inputs for this game, and you could press a button, like instead of back A to do the block, you could just press a button to do that. So apparently significantly better controls on the SNES. That's probably what you guys are running into right now, trying to use the SNES version. Is they designed the game. It's weird. They designed the amount of content that could fit on a Genesis controller, but they designed the controls for an SNES controller.
Wow. I've never played a fighting game where, like, normally it's like what you do is you figure out, like, oh, this move does this, you know? And you kind of come up with like a little bit of a plan. Maybe you figure out another thing. This is like you can do two buttons.
A fast kick or a slow kick. Yeah.
Press 2 buttons. That's it. Yeah.
There is actually a hidden button sequence or a blood code, which is essentially a cheat to enable more gore. It's very minimal from what I understand, but it does do like semi-fatalities, which is funny because like when you beat someone, you have a conversation with them. So like if you obliterate someone into ghost shards, they're still going to give you like, that was a good fight, you're an honorable opponent message afterwards. There's also a Game Boy version of Shaq Fu. It's worse in every way, so we'll just leave it at that. This is a Genesis game, so no voiceovers or no voice actors, so to say. It does have a soundtrack that feels, I don't know, how are we feeling about the soundtrack?
Pretty loud.
A soundtrack.
Yeah, no, I think it feels appropriate.
There are notes being played.
It's a
Look, this guy just
sound.
beat the old man. He said, "You are skilled beyond your years. Save my grandson, Netsu. But look out. Hypnotize him, and he will try to defeat you." Be like, bitch, why are you trying to fight me if we're trying to both save Netsu?
He had to test you to make sure you were the chosen one. Yeah, I think the soundtrack is like fine for what it is. It's not gonna have any bops on it that it gets stuck in your head. But there are some games from this era that did have good soundtracks. Someone in the reviews did mention that it seems like they should have tied his rap albums somehow to this game. Which I know it's 1994 and you can't put his tracks on there. Like it's not like a PlayStation where you could do that. But maybe
you could get like a tiny melody or
like
something,
a beat or something that was part of his album, but it's not. I mean, it's called Shaq Fu because it's his rap name, but that's really it. There's no other reference to his rap career in this game at all.
And for some reason, my tactic of hitting one button while moving over is not working on him. It worked on the 2 hardest characters in the game. Just press one button and walk towards them.
I actually think he might be one of the hardest because he also throws knives a lot.
Wow, great. Well, he's whooped my ass.
The end of the story mode, just in case you're curious, is Nezu saying, the little boy saying, "Thank you for saving me," and then Shaq running onto the court for his game with the dojo owner in the back and Nezu like watching in the stands, and Shaq says, "Sorry, I'm running late. Let's just say I had to fight some traffic to get here." And then he looks onto the court, and like on the court is the Beast character with the basketball, and Shaq's like, "Oh no, not you again. I hope you play hoops better than you can fight." And yeah, so that's how the game ends. That
How quirky.
this monster from this other
world.
world.
I thought one guy said that they mind controlled Nezu.
I think maybe you have to fight Nezu at the end to beat him.
He's got to kick the shit out of this kid.
Yeah, this little kid. But that's the fate that you're cursed to as the chosen one. Yeah, and then at the very end, there's each character gets like a slide with some update about them, like it's the Breakfast Club. So a bit of a retrospective on this game. It's featured on many lists on like the top worst of all time. It's got recognition, but if not for Shaq being attached for it, it certainly wouldn't be on those lists. It just would kind of disappear into the ether, but it's a zany idea that people recognize, So in that interview that I was talking about that Quit the Build did with Don Traeger, he mentions like he felt like their release was a bit caught in the transition. This was just before the PlayStation with their big blocky polygon style graphics, and Mortal Kombat was pushing the limit of the super gory style, which they weren't going to do. Instead, they have this game that they were going for like smooth animation movement game that most people probably aren't expecting or looking for. And I'll pause right there. If you look at games of this era, like they don't have the animation style that's going on. It is pretty unique. It's actually smoother than a lot of the games in this era would have been, and that's because of the developer who's had all that experience with those point and click adventure rotoscope kind of games. Like they did a lot of work on the back end to like get the movement, to cut the frames out, to animate it smoothly. And a lot of the fighting games didn't have animation this smoothly, but that's also what gives the game its bad feel. It's like it feels clunky and slow because it's not snappy animation. It's more focused on like, how does it look? So they were under pressure to get this game out for the holidays. He mentions that Shaq was bummed out by it because people weren't giving it a fair shot, but he also acknowledges the game was probably too tough, like in its final state. Don Traeger seemed downtrodden that he wasn't able to produce like a good game with Shaq. Like he actually, like, I got the impression like he felt like bad about it. He wanted to do right by Shaq because Shaq was really into it, and he feels bad that this game wasn't ever poorly received. He liked Shaq.
Shaq's, every account I've ever heard of him, he sounds like a really nice guy.
Yeah. And so, yeah, Don Traeger was really like, he like the way they talked about it was like he wanted to talk about it to get it off his chest. And like, it's always something that's weighed on him. But the guys that quit the build were real nice about how they agreed that like it was a real bad timing. There's some good things about it. But yeah, people went into it like, what is Shaq doing in a fighting game? But also like the things we mentioned, like it is too hard. Oh, he's going into fury mode. Careful. Oh, you got him. Knocked him out. So, as Frank mentioned early on about the remake, starting in 2014, an Indiegogo crowdfunding campaign was started for a sequel for Shaq Fu. The goal was $450,000. It was successfully funded. It would release on Windows, Switch, PS4, and Xbox One, like in the arcades for those in the stores. And it was universally panned. Somehow they got pretty far into producing this game before any question of licensing came up. Like they're like, yeah, we're just gonna make a Shaq Fu game and like use the name Shaq Fu, and we won't talk to anyone about it. But they apparently did get it sorted out and released the game in 2018 to, as I said, nearly universal criticism. There, I have a Steam page for it here. Yeah, Shaq Fu, a Legend Reborn. Very different art style. Obviously, you're not going to do it in the SNES or Genesis style graphics, but the gameplay is more of a. And they're leaning into like how like it was bad and it's coming back and it's better, but it's more of like a beat 'em up side scroller. It's not like a Street Fighter style game at all. Kind of looks more like a Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles game, to be honest. But
I beat everyone on the first island.
Nice. But we're not playing that game. We're not playing Shaq Fu Legend Reborn, so we don't need to. I don't need to do all the background research for that, and I didn't. So, but Steam says mostly positive, despite its universal critic reviews. It sits at a 49 on Metacritic. It does have Shaq's voiceover work. It looks, at a glance, it looks fine. I don't know. It's apparently incredibly repetitive, but you know, if you want to get that Shaq experience, maybe check it out.
Oh no! Oh, she's whooping my.
Yeah, she's tough, man. The voodoo lady just takes out a voodoo doll, which she had of Shaq. Doesn't seem like a fair thing to go into a fight with a voodoo doll of someone else that they already constructed. But yeah, she can do a screen-wide attack on you.
It's bullshit.
It honestly, some of the stuff that they can do feels like you're cheating. Like they're I can't do any. I can kick you repeatedly. Like you're throwing like huge energy beams at me, and like, come on, man. Like I
got
can't.
my basketball shorts on. Yeah, all the characters are vaguely like someone you've seen in Street Fighter. There's a character named Beast. He's red, though. He's not green like Blanca.
Oh, man. This guy's like a robot, dude. He's kicking my butt.
Colonel, yeah.
Oh, no.
Colonel is a celestial champion, battered, shattered, and almost dead. Colonel was found by Beast on an obscure battlefield, the sole survivor of a fierce struggle. His stage is the lab. So it lists everyone's height here, and they did a good job of making them comparable to Shaq, I think, except the cat lady. She should be 5'3". So before we wrap it up, we are going to look at one more thing. We're going to go over to the Duel and check Duel out. Because as we've played it, we've only been playing the story mode. It's called Shaq Fu. You play as Shaq. But we've been fighting all these different characters, and they all have fully fleshed out movesets. We just saw the Shaq-Ruken, where he throws a
That's what he said, but I've never
wind.
Lord knows I've never done it.
Did you just pick Shaq to do a duel, Frank?
Yeah.
You could have been any one of the 12 characters, and you
Beast
picked Shaq.
is terrifying.
Frank can't get enough of the Shaq experience. So looking at the animation style from the SNES version, like it's better, it's smoother for sure, and the colors are brighter too. It was kind of just muddy on the Genesis, and there's like the sounds too that actually stands out. Oh, you're doing the punching on the SNES.
Oh, you were able to punch?
Yeah. Oh yeah, there it is. Oh yeah, he's doing like backhands and stuff.
Oh, wow, that feels
I
like
think there's a way to do it on the Genesis, but the input controls are so bad that you can't figure it out. It's not intuitive, and it's not, it's called Shaq Fu. The story mode, you play as Shaq the entire time. But if you think about like other fighting games of this era, like, is there one where they force you to play one character for the story? And I don't know. I can't answer the question, but that doesn't feel right. Like a big part of the fighting games, like I was saying, is the Genesis has 12 characters versus SNES's 7, I think. So it's weird to do a fighting game where like I've only seen Shaq's moveset. So like in dual mode, at least like you can play any one of these 12 characters versus a friend, or if you want to be able to punch, play on the SNES version. You only have 7 of them, but yeah, like the dual mode, it's like, okay, there are 7 characters with fully fleshed out movesets that you can actually use on the SNES. Yeah, that's a fighting game. Is it like the smoothest fighting game? No, but yeah, it's really underserving the game to play only as Shaq and only be able to use his big dumb kicks to play the main part of the game.
Oh yeah, there's actual every button does an attack now.
Yeah.
Can't say I'm doing any better.
Yeah, I'm still sucking pretty bad, but I feel better about it. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Fredo pointed out the world map. Well, he said it looks awesome. I don't know how sarcastic he's being. It's weird.
I think it's cool.
Yeah, I think it's cool that they put that in the game, into a fighting game, when like they didn't need to do it. It's this big extra thing they did to do like a scrolling world map.
Maybe that's why you can only play as Shaq.
Because they only did that model for Shaq on the world map.
Yeah, that's honestly my guess.
Yeah. Well, I mean, also story-wise, it doesn't make a whole lot of sense to be like, I'm going to be the Green Goblin guy and save Nezu. I've read the reviews, and some people say there's issues with the scale of the characters from time to time, like we were talking about. On the world map, it feels kind of weird. Like Shaq is a tiny little dude running around from points of interest to start fights. And it's cool that you can pick which order to do the fights in. And we were also saying the thing about scaling. So on stream, I have a picture of Shaq standing next to a normal-sized human being. And look, he's a big guy. There's no reason that in a fighting game he should be anywhere near that small. Minister Anthony Albanese, who's a respectable 5'9", but yeah, Shaq makes him look like a child. So, I mean, I was looking at the stat sheet for everyone, but everyone ought to be like over 6.5, and but they're not. So it just doesn't make any sense. But in this dimension, everyone's taller than the 95 percentile. So overall impressions of the game. How's it feel as a fighting game? Sound design, graphics, feel. Do you want to stop playing right now?
I'm tired.
Frank wants to stop playing already.
I feel bad. I normally really want to like what we do, and I think for the most part, I'm usually able to like kind of, for the most part, for the lion's share of what we do, I'm able to be like, this is fun. This is
I can
fun.
find some joy in this. Yeah.
Yeah. It's, and normally even
Tom
like
does not
bad
like what he
fighting
does
games,
right now.
I'm able to like come up with a couple things where I'm like, oh, this'll do this special. This'll do this special. And maybe I feel like, oh, you know what? I'm not doing it well, But this is like I've done every combination I can think of under
Even
the
though
planet
you got your
Earth.
punching, and it's still no good.
Yeah, I get the punching, and I'm just like, you know what punching is? It's worse kicking.
It's shorter kicking.
Right. So here I was thinking I was being let down by just kicking, and I wish I could go back to it,
Fredo asked if they have fatalities. Yeah, they do have like a blood code, they called it, that like for certain characters, when they're low enough on life, you can do a thing that will destroy them in a different way. But it's not. It's
Can you pull up a video of that?
I mean, from the way they described it, it's like this way to do it. You just they explode into shards instead of. No one has a video of it. It doesn't look like so.
It could be fake.
Maybe it doesn't even exist. Yeah.
It's a classic internet hoax.
Yeah, it's like the truck in Pokemon Red and Blue, It's just there was no Mew under there the whole time. Yeah, so the Metacritic of this score, which is an aggregate of 0 to 100. Any guesses, guys? Where's this game sit?
38.
38. Frank, what about you? What do you think?
This is 1994. I'm gonna say 50.
It's funny. I put this in here and I didn't add it into my notes. I don't have a score, so I mean those are respectable guesses, but we'll read some of what the reviewers said here. 60, I think, is the only score I actually have. A 60. Who crossed the bridge? Did Tom was the only one who crossed the bridge?
I did cross the bridge, yeah.
Congratulations, Tom. I will give you 50 points for that.
Oh, my goodness.
Were you closer with the score there, Frank?
I chose
30?
He said 50, so that is closer to
That's
60.
closer. That's closer to 60, so we'll split the difference and give you 55. All right, perfect. Tom, what review do you have there?
Entertainment Weekly. What about the real point of the game? The action. It only goes to prove that years after the arrival of Capcom's Street Fighter II, rival software companies still have no idea how to program a fighting game. Although Shaq himself is digitized competently enough, he's a relatively small, unintimidating on-screen presence. And some of his opponents, especially in the Genesis version, are downright minuscule. Adding to the aggravation factor is the unrealistic play. Shaq and his pals tumble through the air so hyperkinetically, great word, it's difficult to get close enough to opponents to strike a blow.
True. Facts. What you got over there, Frank?
Video Games and Computer Entertainment gave it a 60. I had higher hopes for these games, though, because of the reputation of developer Delphine Software of Flashback and Out of This World fame. Unfortunately, Delphine's trademark of superfluid character animation has limited the size of the fight megabytes. Both the SNES and Genesis versions have characters that look like midgets compared to most other fighting games. The art throughout is generally good, but the half-cartoony look of the main character ruins his personality. At no point in the game does this guy look like Shaquille O'Neal. On the pre-fight matchup screen, he looks like George Jefferson. On the portrait in the corner during the fight, he looks like Homer Simpson. No offense, but the game's stylized art does contradict the realism of the digitized animation. Some nice features, some excellent animation, but real fighting game fans will consider this one Shaq Fu.
Fucking got him. So I pulled up one of the Delphine's other games, Out of This World, which is, this was cutting edge at the time. It's animated pixels and, but it is rotoscope. Like technology they would do is they would film something and they would, translate it into pixels and choose what frame rate does that need to move at and such. And, this was cutting edge at the time. That's pretty cool. They got some stuff in the foreground going by. Kind of reminds me.
I remember this game.
Oh, really? Wow. Yeah, this was for SNES.
I played this game.
Wow. Yeah, I'd never seen this before. They also had a game called Flashback, which...
I think I was young enough that when this came out, I sucked at it. The Out of This World, I was really bad at it.
Movement around the areas is pretty fascinating. Just like the crawling up, stopping, and... They did some good work. I can see how someone would see this developer and be like, wow, they're doing something unique. Now to choose them to do a fighting game is a choice, but so is this game someone else's, or is this garbage someone else's treasure? Let's see. Here are some reviews.
Trash Candra on howlongtobeat.com says, I don't even think I've ever had a wrestle against awful controls as much as I did playing Shaq Fu. Watching people play it doesn't quite convey the intense discomfort that comes with trying to control your character. Enemies hit really hard, sometimes two-shotting you, so you have to be on your toes, but you aren't nimble enough to do anything about it half the time. Seemingly the only way to progress was to cheese your enemies with spamming, crouching, and jumping kicks. That's what I did, yeah.
Ninrak on howlongtobeat.com says, a poor quality fighting game leeching off of the popularity of Shaq to sell itself at the height of his appeal. Each character feels unique, but everything is too sluggish to even feel entertaining.
Sure enough. And John Lindsay on Amazon says, one of the worst games of all time, ! This game is a complete disaster that I remembered thinking the game has an odd yet wacky concept as it has to be fun and rented it from my local video store. The music is okay and the graphics are cartoony, but the game has lousy controls that feel like they've been busted. You keep getting killed without a fair choice. 1 star. All right, so what about our scores? It's time we gave this game a score it deserves using our patented Garbage Valley score system. Patent pending. Our scoring system is a little unique here. Anyone can rate a game on a 0 to 10 scale, but it leaves little appreciation for games that are so terrible they're enjoyable. So as normal, you've got your masterpieces up at 10. You got terrible games in 0, but we keep going. If a game is so bad, then it becomes enjoyable again. You can go all the way back up to -10. Frank, what do you think?
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, it is a fighting game.
Does it get points for that?
You know? Shaquille O'Neal is the star of it.
Uh-huh. Yeah. Shaq Fu is a funny idea.
It is silly. Mm-hmm. The Genesis version sucks, control-wise.
Like the SNES a little bit better, all right?
Yeah. Oh, so you can play two-player, right? To fight each other?
You can do two-player. You can do dual.
That could be kind of fun, I guess. I'm going to give it a +4.
+4. Okay.
Because it's not really bad. You know what I mean? It's a fighting game, and you are Shaq in it,
Sure.
and you do fight. So I mean, that's that's what they said they were gonna do, and they did it.
All right.
Is it that fun? No, that's why it's a 4.
All right, a 4 from Frank. Tom, what do you think?
Wait,
Is
what
your,
am I
is your
hearing right
voice
now?
echoing? Are you listening to
Yeah,
yourself
I
on
just heard
Twitch?
it. I heard an echo.
Oh,
Oh,
no.
now it's gone.
Okay.
Wait,
I think we're okay.
no,
Wow, it's coming through
no.
right when
My
you're-
wife has set up a camera to watch the frogs at night, and what we were hearing, and still hearing. Are we still hearing
Let
me?
me turn it down all the way.
You're monitoring the frogs, baby.
So what we're hearing is my voice coming through the camera.
What if they wake up at night and they need you? You know.
You gotta change their litter.
Mind you, this is right. Remember, this is they're for me. They're for me. But this is the
The hardy
level that my
frogs.
wife is going. Okay.
Because she's supportive.
Yeah,
Wow,
being
she's
supportive.
just interested in your hobbies.
That's right. So okay. Okay, Frank. I don't know how. I've to this. What are we game? What 75 right now? I don't think Frank ever knew how the garbage game scale worked. So this is not a good game. It's a bad game. So it's negative, and it's not fun. I'm gonna say negative 2.5.
Negative 2.5. All right. For me, there's a few weird things going on. It's a fighting game with like a full cast of characters, but it's pitched kind of is centered around one guy. Like I was saying, like if Street Fighter was called Ryu's Revenge, and like you only got to play as Ryu, and you could play as the other characters hidden in a different mode. You know, that'd be weird. It's kind of a strange precedent to set that you're fighting as this one character with the worst move set. Anyway, look, yeah, there's duel. You know, you can fight against other characters with friends, and that's good. We talked about how the move sets aren't that deep, and it doesn't have the responsiveness you want out of a fighting game. It's not snapping. They're snappy. The animations, like I think they look okay. They're different for fighting games, but this game gets a lot of notoriety because it's Shaq and everything, but it's not that interesting. I'll give it like a negative 3, I think. As I mentioned at the beginning of this era was Shaq's time in the limelight, in part because Michael Jordan had stepped away from the NBA for insert conspiracy theory here, but had Michael Jordan stepped away from the video game industry? No, he didn't. In fact, EA with Don Traeger still had an active license deal with Michael Jordan, and he continued the idea of athlete superheroes. So we're just gonna dip our toe in it. Hey, I know we're all tired. We're doing a little tiny mini doubleheader tonight. Later that same year, EA released a Michael Jordan game that wasn't quite a basketball game, titled Michael Jordan Chaos in the Windy City. There, that's the screen of it there. It's Michael Jordan holding a basketball covered in ice and one covered in fire. And this is actually after he got out of basketball and was playing baseball. From the back of the box, it reads, "It's a twisted adventure created by vengeful mad scientist Dr. Max Cranium. He has kidnapped an entire basketball team, and they're under lock and key in every corner of his dark and dangerous lair beneath the streets of Chicago. Control MJ's every move as he takes on evil Dr. Max Cranium to rescue his teammates. You can power up with Wheaties, registered trademark, and Gatorade, registered trademark, for health boosts." This game would come out on SNES. It was a side-scrolling adventure game where you embark upon a quest to save players of an all-star charity game, sounds familiar, who have been kidnapped. You got basketballs, which are imbued with special powers, and you can slam dunk on bad guys. So we're just gonna try a little bit of this game here.
I like the tagline. This is no pickup game.
It's a good tagline.
That's really good. Not even gonna give Frank points for that line.
It was
so good.
no. That was on the back of the box.
It's on the
Yeah, I'm not gonna give him points for
I'm
reading.
not
Oh.
that smart, Tom. I have AI write things, Tom. It's like a comic book.
Yeah, it's done in comic book style, and like I talked about earlier, like Don Traeger had said that he saw like these athletes done in like superhero kind of posters for Nike, and he wanted to emulate that.
Can you imagine this? Like he shows up to practice, no one's there. A basketball says, "If you want to see your teammates, go to the museum." Like, who wouldn't just go to the place?
I think it was a note. It wasn't the basketball telling him that.
No, the basketball had a note written on it.
Oh, okay. I thought you meant the basketball was speaking to him.
No.
All right, so we've got a world map here where we can travel to. I mean, you got to do it one by one, kind of a Super Mario world map style thing. We're gonna go to the holding cells first, and each section in the world map that you go to within that has like 5 points as well. So here we are, what looks like a spooky abandoned dock, and MJ's got unlimited basketballs. He's chucking basketballs, picking up basketball shaped coins, getting keys. All right, now you got a fire basketball, it looks like. So you've powered up your basketball. Careful of that giant spider. Just the normal, it's a robot spider, normal troubles of Michael Jordan. Oh,
So
it's a
do
basketball
we have the
zombie.
ability to spawn basketballs? It seems like we
Yes. Yes. Yeah. From nature's pocket.
do. And that's normal.
Well, as normal as the basketball zombie is, that pulls a basketball off of his own head to throw at you. Can you dunk that ball?
Got it.
Frank's trying his
Dunked it.
best. You must have to press another button, Frank.
It's like X and
Oh, that
then
looked good.
another.
There it is. Oh, you get coins out of it. Nice. It's very spooky, right? It's like an abandoned ship. It said you were in the underground of Chicago, but like it's like wooden backgrounds that are falling apart. It definitely feels like you're in an abandoned ship.
Thanks for saving me, Michael. The other guys are locked up too. I can say, where are they? What is this place? No problem. See you later.
Ooh, dialogue choices. Nice. We got a baseball now,
The little
which
maniac
is the
calls
size of a
people
basketball. It's all written in like, the font is all like chiller font. All right, let's talk a little bit about the development of this game. I'm shoehorning in some notes here because like I said, I discovered that interview with Don Traeger afterwards. He comments that this game did not do too well. It was a big game with lots of levels and sub-levels. The head designer left, and a person by the name of Amy Hennig took over. Game design was by Amy Hennig, who went on to be game director of the Legacy of Kain series, as well as game director and creative director of Uncharted 1, 2, and 3. She's now working at Skydance New Media, and which is working for Lucasfilms on a new Star Wars title, actually. So, aside from Amy Hennig, though, who created this masterpiece, 14 people who worked on Shaq Fu are also credited on this game, so lots of overlap with Shaq Fu. Mentions it didn't get savaged like Shaq Fu, but it also did not do well. It was a pretty big budget project for them creating it, and yeah, did not do as well as they hoped. So, how has this game look? Does this remind you guys of any game in particular that you played before?
Yeah, I mean it's a platformer.
Yeah, it's reminded me of lots of. It feels like every Genesis game was this. Every SNES and Genesis game, this is what they all were. I remember playing
Right?
Tiny Toons was one that I played a lot, and Vector Man was one with more shooting. Yeah, they were kind of all like this. I have no great love for anyone in particular, but yeah, this just feels like generic making a platformer of this era, with Michael Jordan just like doing passes but hitting zombies for some reason. I just don't understand why everything's like spooky. It feels like it's Halloween themed.
Did you find like the final plot of this game?
I did not beat this game, by the way. They planned, let's see what I have here. They planned a Genesis release, but they never did. Hop and boppers was a term that I ran across, and that feels right. Hop and bopper game, platformer. And there are at least 5 based just around the Looney Tunes. And this one, maybe not as interesting as the Looney Tunes, any of them.
It's hopping and bopping.
Opened all the
I can't figure out
doors.
where to go next. Yeah, I opened the gold doors. I slam dunked all the hoops.
Tell you what, we'll see who can finish this level with the most coins and distribute some points, and we do not need to look much further. There's no way to get out of this level. To be fair, I think there were a lot of games. I don't know if you guys remember renting these kinds of games. My rental store was Albertsons as a kid.
Yeah,
but
probably the same Albertsons.
Yeah. There used to be there's an H.H. Gregg there for a while.
I used to love the rent StarCraft for the N64 there.
Oh man, yeah. I think StarCraft for 64 came out after I had it on PC and had played it on PC, so it didn't make a whole lot of sense for me to try
Yeah,
it on.
I already had it on PC. Yeah, and I don't know, but just some reason the 64 version,
Yeah.
I really dug it. I don't know, it's weird.
Wow, yeah, I think you were one of the few. It didn't do very well, I don't think.
Yeah, a lot of people hated it.
Yeah. Oh, I feel like there were a lot of games like this that like I'd rent and be like, just get stuck. Oh, there you go. You just had to kneel down on the
You just had to
platform.
push down. Yeah.
Yeah, I feel like there were a lot of rentals like that. You'd get them and just get stuck, and we didn't have the internet, couldn't figure out what to do, how to get past this level. So you would just return it to the store having never got past the first level. Nintendo Bauer says on release that MJ has some cool moves and it has good graphics, though the control seems lost at times. Next Generation said that the action never improves after 24 mind-numbing levels, and Superplay said 83 out of 100, noting that the game has many levels and sub-levels, and it is a good platform game hidden under a bizarre plot and a great deal of licensing. So that is what they have to say. Look at that, Frank made it out. Oh, at least to the next section. Oh, you got your bonus level. Make as many dunks as you can. 10 seconds.
God.
10 seconds to dunk. 9 seconds. Frank's not even trying to dunk. Frank forgot the controls. Oh, you got a Sprite. Nice work. Making good progress now. I mean, how many other color keys could they have, right? You're done with your key collecting.
My God, am I in hell? Why can't I? No, well, I'm just stuck in a hole. I can't move.
Do you need to
Destroy
break the
the wall,
floor?
Tom.
Break the floor
I
underneath
know
you.
the wall underneath me, right?
The wall, it's
beside
a
you.
floor. When there's a wall underneath you, it's a floor.
The floor under.
Michael Jordan and Chaos in the Windy City is tearing us apart.
Woo!
All right, Frank made it to the end of the level. You get a password. Nice. I think another 50 points sounds good. So Frank's at a commanding 105.
Wait.
And that's it, baby.
And that's it.
Give me a try.
I have
I'll
no
watch
other
Tom.
ways to
I'll try-
give. Well, as Tom flounders on, I do have a prize to get to here. I looked through a lot of things. What could the prize be for this? And I settled on there can only be one thing that Frank, as the winner, will have to have in his office space. Do you want to take a guess what it is? I think you could probably guess what it is.
Is it a bust of Shaq?
No, it is not a bust of Shaq. I wish there was a bust of Shaq, but no, it is a 3D print of Lola Bunny, who famously played on Michael Jordan's team.
Yikes. Oh, I don't know if
In
I could
the
have that in
movie.
the office, man.
No, it's not that revealing. It's it's
Am
how
I?
Lola
Is
Bunny
something?
looked
Hold
in
on, hold on, guys. We need to talk for a second.
yes, in Space Jam.
You break the hole in the fucking ground,
Yeah.
right?
And you gotta go to the left, but not too left.
No, Frank. Here's the thing. It's switching.
It like changes your direction midair.
No. I mean, like sometimes the hole in the water is to the left, and sometimes it's to the right.
Oh.
I was like, noted.
This isn't
I
a
went to the
child's
left and I
game.
died. So I just went to the right just now, and the water switched to the right
This
side.
is chaos in the Windy City. All right.
Oh my
Look
God.
at the photos someone uploaded of this. Why would you do that? Well, you just upload that. It's just showing you the details of Lola Bunny's butt. It's a very like
I mean, that's
pixely.
what Chris. I don't know if you know what people are gonna do with these things.
Yeah.
Or what Frank will do with it.
Glad we could do another GGN. This has been
Yes,
this has been Shaq Fu and Michael Jordan and Chaos in the Windy City.
Should we rate that one? Even though we have less time with it?
We just dipped our toe in it, but I mean, what do
We
you
gotta
think?
rate it.
All right, rate it. Frank, what do you got?
I'm gonna give it a 2.
A
Positive 2.
Positive 2. Not a great game. Not that enjoyment to be had. What do you think?
-2.
Yeah, and I think 2 is fine. It's a quirky premise, but like this, rating it in 2023, this game blends into, like we were saying, 100 other SNES games. It's just quirky that it was Michael Jordan throwing basketballs that could be ice or on fire, but it's just like any other game done worse. So yeah, positive 2 for me.
I have a question.
What you got?
How varied do the enemies get later levels?
I'll pull it up.
What
on
is the
stream.
ending? Because they described this like little guy that's like the villain, some little dude that captured them.
Yeah, it was
Why are they
Max
capturing
Cranium
the basketball players?
for science.
To get their power into a basketball that they can give to other aliens in a basketball.
No, but that's a good plot to a movie. Oh my God, look at this. What am I looking at? That was interesting. Look at this. There's like these
That
big
kinda
mutant basketball players that you gotta, and they get all like,
This
Oh,
is
yeah.
fucking Space Jam.
yeah, this is like Space Jam. This was before Space Jam came out. Look at that. There's a little like Looney Tunes looking guy. Look, he's yeah.
Oh yeah.
I'm giving this a 4.
Bumping it up to a 4 because he saw some wacky shit. It's Cranium, right? I don't remember reading about you. Who'd you say you played for again? You're getting on my nerves. It made something special for you. Quite electrifying, I might add. And there's a boss fight? Look at this. This is interesting.
Who'd you say you played for again? Like as if like Jordan like only understands the world in
through
basketball.
The lens of basketball, yeah.
Okay, that guy looks shitty.
It's wacky though.
Everyone, he's at the grocery store, like the checkout lady. He's like, "What team do you play for? I haven't.
I've never played against you before.
Family.
What is this?" He's like on top of. There's like paparazzi that is hitting with basketballs.
Yeah, you know what? No, yeah, I'm my 4.
And these are like big levels, like some of the reviewers said. Like it just goes on and on with the levels and sub levels. Yeah. I mean, this long play, which seems pretty concise, is an hour and 38, and that's a lot for an SNES game.
God damn.
Oh my, we're looking at the final fight here. There's like a giant like Vector Man basketball guy.
And for some reason, dunking
hits you health, just like in real life. Of course, the enemy throws something at you that you have to pick up and throw back at them. That old trope. I think it's time we hung up our jerseys. We have done as much damage as we can with basketball games. Unless...
For now.
No, that's I'm not doing 3.
All clips in this podcast were used in compliance with the U.S. Copyright Fair Use Exemption for criticism and commentary. Garbage Game Night makes no claims to ownership over any games played and has no affiliation with any developer or publishing company. For additional references on cited articles and quotes, check our episode-related blog at garbagegamenight.com.